to do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
So hello, welcome back to Living Legends podcast. I'm your host for today. My name's Az from Going in Gaming, and joined as always by these two lovely gentlemen. How's it going, folks?
Hello.
Not too bad today. Having a good chat already, and it's going to be a lot of conversation today, specifically about some new stuff. So I'm very excited for that.
If you were expecting the rest of the podcast episodes to be as negative as the last one, you will be sorely disappointed. That is
we're switching back to a more positive feel.
Well, it's funny. I was reading some of the comments, and someone was just like talking about how negative it was, and I was like, dude, I have like 490 Flesh and Blood videos, and I publish like one negative one, being 100% honest. But it's like, you're so negative. It's like a 1 in a 500 shot, man. Well, actually, that's not true. I was pretty critical of the classic battles decks as well, but that's a little bit different. That one was like a full review, not just like a unhinged rant.
I mean, and to be fair, as ranty as that episode was, and as tired as I was on that episode, there are definitely a lot of arguments as to why that has had that community response. Essentially,
it wasn't just us. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. I've softened up on a little bit, and we'll talk about that a little bit to cap it off. I really don't want to spend too much time talking on it, but it coincides with some other news, so we'll get into it in a little bit. But hey, Bill, how are you doing too?
Doing good.
Yeah.
I think that my piece has been said about the KO deck, and I do hope that there's some amount of this criticism. Obviously, I think some of it was a little bit overblown. I'm not really going to comment any further on how I feel about it, because it's a product that fundamentally just like isn't for me. But I do think it sort of suffers from the same things that the Classic Battles deck did. So I think that they can use this as a learning opportunity. I think that their head is in the right place, at least in terms of having this sort of product. But I personally do think that there are just some things that they could have done a little bit better, and maybe a different way they could have approached it. But ultimately, it's up to them. It's their product. But yeah, I'm not here to rag on it any further.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to really rag on it, but I'll have some final thoughts. Not too much when we talk about the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of other thing. As I believe we have some news to chat about, if you wanted to kick us off on that.
Yeah, definitely. There's a load of new cards that come out. Is that what you were alluding to? I believe.
Yes.
Before I do that, I think it's good to point out that this episode, you'll probably already notice the runtime is shorter than usual. And that's going to be true for the next 2 episodes as well. We're going to have like fun like semi-mini half-hour-ish watches. It's like 40 or 50 minutes long. Hopefully it's not, but like kind of mini episodes, because I'm going to be traveling soon and I'm going to be gone for like three weeks. So we figured it'd be nice to do like some fun mini episodes, also to kind of like, they're going to be fun. They're going to be like pretty good vibes and pretty hopefully entertaining for everyone. And that's because I'm going to be in Vegas casting Grand Archive Worlds, and then I'm going to be in Japan immediately after for various things, but one of the things is the Flesh and Blood World Premiere event. And then when I get back from that, we're going to just dive into Part the Mistveil pretty deep, probably starting with like our top 5 cards, or maybe we'll do a recap video and then the top 5 cards, but some permutation of that. And then sometime after that, James White's going to be on the podcast. So
yes.
Yeah.
That'll be extremely exciting to be able to chat with him in a little bit more depth than we got to, or at least I got to the last time I saw him, and basically the only time I saw him. So I'm excited to chat with the man himself.
Yeah, and just quickly, Tokyo is right around the corner for a lot of people that are going to the calling and the world premiere event over there. And LSS have recently revealed what their merch booth is going to be.
Oh, it's sick, dude.
So sick. So I'm hoping that Kel can get me a Red in the Ledger mat.
Hold on, let me.
So there's loads of different things on there. We can briefly touch on what's available for people that don't know. So if you know that someone who's going, or you want to reach out to people that you know who are going, they might be able to bring you back the good stuff from Japan. So they got some really cool stuff out there, which I believe Kel was just searching up now.
Yeah, I just pulled up an image for everyone, so that at least the visual folks here can kind of take a look here. And let me. Well, I'm not gonna mess with it because this is the same window I'm using to show the cards. But you can kind of see it. It's pretty small, but some of the notable things is like all the playmats on here are they have the zones, but they're in Japanese. Including a Spring Tunic playmat. There's a Blood Rush Bellow, a Viserai one. I forget the name of the card. Arknight Ascendancy, something like that.
Become the Arknight.
Become the Arknight. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of them, including like 4 new ones on the bottom, like the new Oasis Respite promo art, and then one with all of the, I think those are the specializations or the legendary thing. I don't remember what the art for these are. They look like the ones from the promos.
I think one of them might be, but I think the other ones are actually new cards we haven't seen yet.
Okay.
But the art's been revealed. But yeah.
But they're the new characters, right? There's one with like new, one with Enigma, and one with Zen, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And then there's like new Dragon Shield sleeves with the anime Enigma art, and then like some t-shirts. And like I said, I will be attempting to pick up a Red in the Ledger mat for him.
Yeah.
I personally I'm going to buy one of the shirts, probably the Spring Tunic mat, and maybe the new mat. That
new one looks really nice. Siren's Call, it's called. That mat is called Siren's Call.
It's like a double-edged thing because I mentioned the other week that I really want to sell a bunch of my Flesh and Blood playmats because I have like 60 of them. And I'm not going to use them all, but I do want these ones. So this will be like a couple of the ones that I keep or something.
Yeah, it's the power of the heroes that you like, isn't it? I mean, I've already got a Red in the Ledger mat, as a lot of people know, signed by Alicia Lang. But I just want to get this one as well because it's got the Japanese writing for combat chain and it's got the Japanese writing for the zones, as you said.
Yeah.
So it just looks awesome. And it's similar with all of them as well. I know that my mate Tom, who's well into Bravo, wants a Crippling Crush Japanese playmat. So yeah, if you know someone who's going, then try your best to.
They're pretty expensive, actually. Like all of them are 10,000 yen. Except for the Tunic playmat, which is 20,000 yen, and the new playmats, not the character new, but like the part the Mistveil playmats are 8,000. Which roughly translate to like probably like $60, and then the more expensive ones are double that, and then the Tunic playmat's like double that, right? So they're a little up there.
I think we've had this conversation before about merch at events. Is it okay for them to be expensive? I think it is, personally.
Sure.
I think it's okay.
I don't have a problem with that, right? It's like pretty limited merch. Well, presumably, depending on what it is. And I don't know. Like, it's the same as like, maybe it's just because like both Az and I go to, or at least I used to go to a lot of concerts. I know Az still goes to shows, but you go and you see like the band merch, and obviously, there you go, dude. The band merch is like more expensive than like a regular T-shirt, right? You're gonna spend more for the tour shirt than you go and get a T-shirt at like the shop, right?
Exactly, yeah, that's right.
Same kind of deal. It's like, yeah, I'm just used to that kind of. I expect that kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, that's a really good comparison. I think you made that comparison before, where if you're going to this is for instance, this North Lane T-shirt is a Mirror's Edge EP T-shirt. So they've literally just released the EP Mirror's Edge, and as a result, this is the T-shirt that you get with that sort of vinyl thing, which I picked up. It is an accentuated price, but you're willing to pay it for the fact that it's fresh and new to that specific thing, which is similar to how they're operating this.
And I always think about it as also like supporting the band, right? Like you buy the merch to like directly support the band without having to filter through all of the different layers of chains that it would be from like buying their album from a store, right? Because you buy the album from the store, they somewhere down the line they'll get money for it, whether it's like you know, whether they already got the money for it because the albums got produced or whatever, but like directly buying their shirt from their merch store at a concert, they just get that money, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always buy, like, Robin and I, so the last concert we went to was the Decemberists here in Portland. We're both big fans of the Decemberists. And we bought like the special like poster, like the limited poster for that specific concert, and we both bought like shirts, right? It was expensive, right? But it was worth it to support a band that we really like. So
memories as well.
Same thing here, right? You buy this merch because you want it and it's limited, and also you're supporting Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, and it's a memento of the day as well because it's a Tokyo shirt or whatever.
I'm definitely buying the red Tokyo shirt, or it's black but it has like red, accents, lettering stuff. So
any of these you want, Bill?
So I was gonna say I was just trying to find the storefront because the merch booth menu picture is just like a little bit small, and I wanted to see if I could get a bigger picture. But while I was looking for that, I came across a page on gearful.co.jp about the like Flesh and Blood world premiere in Tokyo, and under their list of like guests. They have like a couple of artists, they have a couple of Japanese content creators, and then they have like James White, the creator of Flesh and Blood, and then a couple of content creators as well. And I found this picture of Ethan Van Sant. And for everybody else who can't see it that isn't it's actually a picture of Flake.
Oh my god.
It's listed as Ethan Van Sant.
That is hilarious.
Did a quick search on Twitter to see if anybody else had noticed this, and I don't think anybody has.
No, okay, they did. I did see. Okay. I did see someone. Flake had responded to some degree to someone. I did see this like yesterday. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so fun.
So I just came across that. I was like, that's not Ethan. But
I don't actually know who it's meant to be. Like, did they get the name wrong or did they get the picture wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, like. Is it Flake? Is it Ethan?
I guess I'll find out. Whoever's there. Whoever's there.
Truly, who's to say? But yeah, okay. So for this, let's see. Okay, I've blown up the picture a little bit. It's easier to see now. In terms of the in terms of the playmats, I think I think maybe because it's the most expensive, I kind of want the Japanese spring tunic mat. It's kind of hype.
See, I would get it for you if it wasn't one per customer, because I'm getting it. I'm getting it for myself. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense, and that's I can live without it. But like, if I were to get one, it would probably be that one, or the Oasis Respite playmat as well. Even though it doesn't have the zones, the art is phenomenal. I love the art for these. No, only the card art ones appear to have the zones.
I think the Oasis does have the zones as well.
It may be. Well, it has the zones on it, but I don't think they're labeled. It doesn't appear to be labeled.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was full art because I was like, that gives me more incentive to buy it, because if it's full art, then it means I can use it for other card games.
Yeah. But no, they have the Flesh and Blood zones. They're just not labeled. Also, it is sad to me that the Red and the Ledger one doesn't have 2 arsenals, and I know that I know why it doesn't, because Azalea doesn't really use New Horizon, but I still think that Ranger mats should have 2 arsenal zones, just personally.
Yeah.
Also, just looking at this as well, it does say 1 each per customer per day, so you might.
I mean, if they still have any, but I have a feeling that one's getting sold out day one.
Probably. Yeah, like that one is extremely hype. That one is really nice. But yeah, in terms of the other ones, like maybe the Glint the Quicksilver playmat, but I think my first choice would be Spring Tunic. In terms of the t-shirts, I think I'm okay without the t-shirts, and the hoodie. Kel, you might be getting yours soon. I actually
got it yesterday. I hadn't mentioned it to you, but I did get it. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. You finally got it 7 months later. 7 months later.
I wore it when I went to go get my hair cut. So yeah.
I was gonna mention, your hair's looking, your hair's looking chopped. So
it's much shorter. It's shorter than I wanted it to be, but it'll grow out well, I think. But
yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully you enjoy that sweater, and it keeps you warm on your trip to Japan. Even though it'll probably be pretty warm in Japan at that time. Their summers are usually pretty hot, so
that's a good point. Yeah, gross.
But yeah, I do think that having the merch at the stores or at the events specifically that are like a little bit more expensive. I mean, you guys kind of already touched on this, but like I went to a wrestling show for AEW on Wednesday, and the merch there is about the same price as this. And it's like, is it anything super special or whatever? Maybe not necessarily. Like this Vincent shirt was in Barcelona. This hoodie was in Barcelona already. So it's not like it's a completely unique product that's going just for this. Obviously the playmats are unique to this. But I think that's fine. It like helps to drive up hype for the event where it's like, oh, for these specific ones at least, like you have to come to this event to get this. Yeah. And then it's still like, could they have priced it lower? Probably. But then also it directly supports LSS like you guys were saying. And I think that with them just sort of very, very like lightly dipping their toes into actually selling merch at this stage, like they have 3 t-shirts and a hoodie. Like it's fine to support them this way if you really like their stuff, which I did. Like I bought 3 sweaters total because obviously Kel wanted one, I wanted one, and then Jay Zen State Fab every time shout out also wanted one. So and everybody that I know that has them loves them. Like they're just really cool. They're a nice commemoration of the event. And yeah, like they're a little bit expensive, but so is traveling, and so is going to any event to get merch from an event. It's just kind of the status quo, and I think that it's fine, honestly.
Yeah, for those wondering, the shirts are 7,000 yen, which is probably roughly about like $50, I would say.
Yeah,
like the yen is it's about that price.
USD. Yeah, it's about $45 US,
dude,
which is
sucks for the yen. That's even worse than I thought. But yeah.
No,
I mean, I'm in
for the longest time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, literally, I was just going to say about yen. So I'm in the process of literally exchanging yen monthly because I'm going in October, because to Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
And the exchange rate is pretty good for the pound against the yen. I'm basically getting double the amount. So it's going to be quite cheap when you're over there, but getting there is obviously the expensive part.
While you're there, it's pretty easy to get your money. Like this is a tip for people going to Japan. You can actually go to like an ATM, and you can just get the transfer there. It's pretty cheap. And I've heard that the exchange rates at ATMs are generally better than if you go to a like an exchange booth, which are also like in the airport, right? So what my recommendation is when you get to Japan, immediately go get some cash, like go get some yen, and you can do that at an ATM or the like exchange booth. But I've heard that the exchange rates are much better at the ATM. So that's what I did. And there's ATMs in every single konbini, and you're gonna find those everywhere. Like they're literally multiple per block. You're looking for like your family marts and that kind of stuff. And I'm
going to be doing a strong zero challenge, which is basically every time you find a convenience store, you get a strong zero out of there. and you just keep going.
Man. You're gonna be wasted.
Absolutely. All captured on GoPro
for the course.
The biggest tip I can give to people, this is what I learned and what I did from the first one, is get yourself a card, like a SIM card, right? And the one that everyone says is like get the Suica card, but the problem is that the Suica card is like low on chips, like they're having like a chip shortage, and it's like impossible to get them. I was not able to get one when I was in Japan last time, and so I had to get a Pasmo. But the thing is the Pasmo is limited, right? It's only viable for like 20 days or 30 days or something like that, and after that it doesn't work anymore. So unless you spend all your money on that, you just lose money. So what you can do, and this is my recommendation to anyone going to Japan, is you can buy a Suica or a oh crap, what's the one that I bought? I bought the one that's native, that's like local to Osaka, but you can literally use it anywhere in Japan. You can buy it from eBay, right? And they're Japanese sellers who literally buy brand new ones and then just sell them on eBay. And that's what I did. So you can kind of get your card ahead of time, not have to worry about going to the place in the airport, waiting in line. I had to wait for like 45 minutes. And then you just have it, and you can charge the card like at any, there's like kiosks everywhere you can just charge the card on. So like that's the biggest recommendation I can give you. It saves you a ton of time, and I do recommend you get them because you can use them to pay for like almost anywhere in Japan. And it's really important for the public transit, because you, instead of having to fiddle with buying a ticket and that, you just go beep, just do it. It's easy.
Instead of scrolling through a load of menus that you don't understand as well. Yeah, that makes sense. You just tap it yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna look up the one that I bought because it's much more plentiful. It's because it's the one that you get from. It's the one like local to Osaka, but you can literally use it in Tokyo or anywhere in Japan. They're all kind of like interchangeable.
Yeah.
I think it's called Ikoka. Yeah, there's the Suica card, and then there's the Ikoka card, which has got like a cute little penguin platypus on it. But I spent $19.80, and it came. That's with free shipping, and it came with 500 yen pre-charged on it as well. So,
okay.
It's good. That's what I did this time for my trip, because I didn't want to have to. Because I got the Pasmo last time, and I had to. It doesn't work anymore, so I had to get a new one, and I didn't want to have to wait in line another like 20 minutes to buy another Pasmo. So I'm just gonna buy one that I can use anytime I go to Japan.
Good idea. Sorry to derail what you were saying, Bill, but I'm not sure whether you remember what he was going to say or.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say I've bought a lot of cards from a Japanese store, for specifically Magic, from a store called Haruruya.
Yep, I was gonna guess that one.
Yeah, it's a great store. They have fantastic prices on stuff, and their shipping is incredible. But yeah, for the longest time, the yen was like. You like scale it down by a factor of 10. You just like take away a decimal place, and then that's how much it is. Or I guess it would be 2 decimal places.
It would be 2, yeah.
Factor of 100.
Yeah, if it was 8,000 yen, it would be like $80.
$80, yeah. That's how it was for the longest time. And now, like, looking at the prices of like 7,000 Japanese yen in Canadian, it's $62 instead of what it would normally be, which is 70. So yeah, unfortunate for the Japanese yen, but great for me.
It's good. It's rough. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. Apparently they're
means,
kind of not in a great spot.
Just means that we're going to spend more while we're over there to help them get out of it. So there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah. So Japan is obviously on the top of a lot of people's lists, whether that's for Tokyo or Worlds this year. So it's good to see that. Yeah, well, I need to prep. I need to prep as well. I've never been there before, so there's a lot of things I need to figure out. But yeah, I'm at the moment I'm changing yen in England. I'm getting the actual notes, so I can just take the notes with me. Basically, so I'm getting all that sorted. But yeah, like SIM cards and other things like to put on my phone and all that. I need to get that sorted as well.
Like, since this is going to be the last podcast we have 2 more coming up, but I'll mention it here because I'm going to be traveling soon, and I'll just give this advice to everyone. If you plan on going to Japan, like, this is a couple just must do things. Make sure you have Google Maps or something like that installed. It is a lifesaver. Like, it helps you through public transit. It helps you just find where like the local like family marts are or whatever, so you can buy whatever you need. It's super, super, super helpful. I live and die by Google Maps when I was in Japan. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, if I didn't have it, I would be significantly more lost than when I was. And then the other one is like get a SIM card. Like, just do it. It's so useful. Buying one from eBay, I think, is a really good thing, and just having one like pre ready to go is great. And then learn a couple Japanese phrases, but you know what? Like, you don't need all that much. I watched a video by Chris Broad where like one of the guys was like, these are the Japanese phrases you need to know, and it was just like, konnichiwa, which is like hello, sumimasen, which means like pardon me or excuse me, that kind of stuff. There's like a handful of phrases, arigato, and those are pretty good. And then the other one was like, it might seem a little insensitive to do this, but this actually works, and they say like you should do this. It's called, what is it? Do you remember what it's called as? Where it's like, it's an English word that's been adopted by Japan.
Oh, loan words.
Yeah. So like for example, baseball is besubaru, or like apple pie is like apru pie, and like the idea is if you don't know what something is in Japanese, if you just kind of sound it out like that, there's a chance that they might understand what you're talking about. Like if you're like trying to find a restaurant, you can be like restaurantu, and they could like possibly understand. But his suggestion. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying it helps if you have some understanding of what katakana is, which is basically their language that's based on adopted words and sounds, I believe. So I think like toilet would be toire, which is basically what their pronunciation of that loaned word is, which is what katakana is, I believe. So they have hiragana and katakana, which is a lot. How they do this, I don't know.
And his suggestion was, don't say a whole bunch of words at once, because in the Japanese mind they'll think it's like one word. Say like two words, like bathroom where, like that. But instead of like, hey, where's the bathroom, they're just gonna be like, what are you saying?
In that order as well, because the context comes first in Japanese language, I believe. You
I
say
think so. It's like
the thing, and then the like toilet. Where is it? It's in reverse, or how we say it. I think that's how it works. Anyway,
like the big one I would do is like English, okay? Like that's I said that a lot. Like English, okay?
Yeah.
Something important that I found out is if you're asking for like where the bathroom is, and you just say toire, it is toire and not toireto, because you might think that because it ends with a T, but the only time that it's toireto is in when you say toilet paper. So they'll be like, oh, you're just not saying the full word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toilet. Well, luckily,
yeah.
Before we move on to the actual cards and stuff that we are going to be discussing, and again, these are supposed to be shorter episodes, but Living Legends fashion, we just derail it every time. I was learning Japanese for a while. I was using a bunch of books called Japanese from Zero, and I was doing really well in them. But since then, it's like 5 years ago now. It's all gone out of my brain again because you're not using it. You're not using it daily. So what I do have as part of my Japanese learning collection back in the day is just like a book probably about this size, the size of your phone that you have in your pocket, which is just like full of phrases. So worst case scenario, I can just flick through the book and then maybe point at a phrase or try and say it based on how the book says. So I'm going to carry around one of those as well with me. So
my favorite, not my favorite, but it's like one moment that I had when I was in Japan that I was like semi proud of myself, and it was only I only said 2 words, but I think it was like what a Japanese person would say. I said yeah, exactly. I said sumimasen as the person came by, and I was like biru, and
yeah, that's it. That's what we need.
Yeah, which is beer.
Yeah, I'll be fine then. Absolutely, it's all I need. Like, beer. That's the only word I need.
Biru, arigato.
Yeah. Sick, sorted.
Yeah. No,
but
anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and segue this. You mentioned Zen State Fab. Obviously, fantastic person. I always tune in to his videos about Vincent. So I want to segue into the new Vincent card, which he spoke about quite a lot on one of his videos. So go and check it out. It's very, very insightful as to what this card does. But should I read this one out just because I'm going on it?
Go for it, man.
Go for it.
So it's called Eloquent Eulogy. So it costs 1. So Shadow Rune Blade action. So it's an attack. Attacks for 4 and blocks for 3. But it's a 1-cost Rune Gate card, which I believe a lot of people were clamoring for because we didn't have a 1-cost Rune Gate.
Yeah, it's a big deal. We'll get into it in a little bit, but it's a big deal because you can banish this off of Vincent's ability and it pays for itself.
Yeah.
Which makes it a 0/4/5.
Because you're getting the banish and then you're getting the rune chant as a result. So then it pays for itself. Plus it comes in for 1 and 4. So that is correct. Yeah, absolutely. So rune gate, obviously, that's a mechanic that that obviously is part of Vincett's package. And then obviously the second line of text here is when the combat chain closes, if a hero has lost life this turn, create an eloquence token. So according to Jay, this is fantastic. I'm not a Vincett main, but if you're listening to this, Jay, you did a great video of explaining it. But eloquence is basically the mage master boots on a token, if I remember correctly. It gives your non-attacks go again, right?
I think so.
Yes. Yeah. It's when you play your next non-attack action, it breaks and gives go again. It's the non-attack action version of Quicken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think that does for Vincett? What do you think Vincett likes that an eloquence token gives?
Oh,
can you think off the top of your head?
You can give like your read the runes go again, right? Like just
bingo.
Yeah.
Something else that's kind of crazy that Jay even had to like check in on the rules of, because it doesn't seem real, is you can play something that triggers eloquence and then play things that are non-attack actions that can be played as though they were instant speed, like what's it called, Twilight Moon or something similar.
Funeral Moon.
Funeral Moon. You can play Funeral Moons in response to that, and the trigger will happen multiple times. It will break on the first one to resolve, but the granting of go again isn't tied to actually breaking the token itself. So if you play something and then Funeral Moon's in response, it will grant all of them go again.
That's
right.
Both
so you can,
cool and also kind of annoying, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Like fiddly bits of rules like that, I'm not sure I like in Flesh and Blood. Like it just feels like you're cheating. Like I don't know, it just feels weird. Like I don't know.
So Spellbound Creepers all over again.
So here's the thing. I was gonna say, when I started, they printed Spellbound Creepers. I don't think they care about making fiddly stuff for Runeblades.
We'll bring it up when we talk about the mage card. But there's another weird like fiddly rules thing with the mage card that we could talk about, because like it's just like unintuitive stuff that sometimes it works one way and then sometimes it works a different way that you think it would work the same way, but it doesn't because the rules are weird. So we'll talk about that when we talk about the mage card.
I was going to say, what are you referring to there? Because that's a good segue. If I don't know, are you referring to Wizard card?
I believe it's Kindle. Is what.
Are we done talking about the eulogy?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay,
I think we gotta kick this into overdrive if we want to get other discussions in.
Last words on eulogy. He's got like a buck ass naked, maybe viscera, maybe chain, but buck ass naked dude on it.
Some people were also saying maybe Kano, and it's like Shadow Wizard.
That feels like copium.
That's just me in Azalea's dungeon. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But anyway, Kindle.
All right. So Kindle's a cool card. I actually really like how like iconic it looks, like art wise. It's not like super complicated, but it's very like direct and iconic. It's got this hand with fire in it. So it's a 0 cost red pitch card. It's an instant, so it has 0 block, and it has a new keyword, which is the reason why I said it's a little fiddly, because this new keyword works differently, actually works actively differently than what it is referencing to. So it's called AMP, and this particular card has AMP 1, and it says, the next time you would deal arcane damage this turn, those words are very important. The next time you would deal arcane damage this turn, instead, deal that much +1. This happens before prevention effects. And then the rest of the card text says, if you have no cards in hand, draw a card. So this card's really good, by the way. It's I've seen people liken it to like a wizard ancestral empowerment, and that's kind of close. It's a 0 cost instant, draws you a card when you're kind of comboing off, helps you continue like your chain of playing things. You know, it's a cool card, but buff stuff's up. But I think what I would like to discuss most is the AMP effect. And so there's 2 really important parts about AMP that makes it different than the previous iterations of this effect, because we had this effect a lot in Arcane Rising on a lot of cards that would be like the next wizard action you play, if it would deal damage, it deals that much plus 2, +1, plus whatever. The big difference here is this doesn't specifically care where the damage is coming from. So this can actually increase the damage of weapons like Kraken's Aether Vein. So you can draw multiple cards from it. Or whatever, Sergeant Aether Tide. Like, this is effect's really cool because you can pump your weapon damage. And the second effect, and this is something that we were discussing in my Discord, or my community Discord, was this one says the next time you would deal arcane damage. And so previously, for an effect like forked lightning, right? That the damage would apply to both parts of the damage from fork lightning. Apparently, this one does not, because fork lightning would get pumped up from the other effects, because the other effects would say like whenever the next action card you play would deal damage, it does that much +1. But this one just says the next time you would deal arcane damage, and so because of that, it only applies to one of the damage effects from that card. That's what I
think so too.
That's what the discussion has been in my Discord. I haven't 100% confirmed it with with Joshua Scott or anything, but that's what people have been saying.
And it lasts your whole turn as well, right? So if they arcane barrier one of your spells, the next spell that hits will still get the +1.
Yes,
basically.
yeah. It says the next time you would deal arcane damage. Yeah.
So it's just there throughout the whole turn.
Yeah, and for something like Ether Flare, which has that pump effect, it does say the next card you play this turn with an effect that deals arcane damage instead deals that much +X.
Yeah.
So it cares about the card, not the instance of arcane damage.
Yes.
I think is the difference there.
Yeah. But like I said, it's one of those fiddly rules where in some it works this way for a similar effect, and then it works a different way for a similar effect, and it's just kind of one of those fiddly bits of flesh and blood rules that can be kind of unintuitive to a lot of people. I know some people like this kind of I'm just gonna say complexity when it comes to the rules. I think it can be a little fiddly. But I
think the amp in general, though, I think it could be quite good if there is
I think
an
great.
arcane only set. Having amp around for that, where you just want to maybe pitch to arcane barrier, but you still got the amp there, which can buff up other spells that you might not be able to pitch arcane barrier to.
It saves a
damage.
A lot of text space too if they get rid of the reminder text. It's just amp 1, amp 2. You don't have to have a giant paragraph of text it currently does in the reminder text. So the foil version of this card, if it doesn't have the reminder text like they typically do for the foil versions, it'll just say amp 1 if you have no cards in hand, draw a card, and that's super clean.
Because you know that when you're getting burnt by any source of damage, all of your amps are gonna just go away, aren't they? If you've got 1 amp out and then you've got an amp 2 out as well, the next time your magical spell hits, they're gonna deal 3 damage. Say
not even just a spell, anything. Like I said,
anything.
I want to do Kraken's Aether Vein with a bunch of amp, and then you blast them and draw 5 cards, dude. That's sick.
That's what I've been wanting to do since they revealed Kraken's Aether Vein.
Yeah.
But also super randomly for this now buffs this. This will also buff the trigger from Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Which is arcane damage that is being dealt directly by your hero to any target, which I think is very funny.
Yeah. So, that's Kindle. I think Kindle's good. It's cool card.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think it's very strong. We didn't talk about Shadow Realm horror last week because that was in the same reveal as Eloquent Eulogy. So yeah,
this is nuts.
This card is maybe too good, and I think there are a lot of people that are like, hey, this card's not okay, and I kind of agree, honestly. This is a Shadow Brute attack action. It's a majestic. It comes in red, costs 2, attacks for 6, and blocks for 3. So it's that 2, 6, 3 stat line that is just pretty good on its own.
It's a brute card that blocks. It's pretty good.
It's a brute card that blocks. That never happens. And the main bread and butter of this, it has blood debt. That isn't the main bread and butter, but it is a blood debt card. It says, as an additional cost to play this, banish 3 random cards in your graveyard. If 1 or more cards with 6 or more attack are banished this way, this gets +1 attack. 2 or more, this gets go again. 3 or more, you may play a card banished this way this turn.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Nuts? Like crazy.
You could Shadow Realm horror into a slithering shadow pede or whatever the hell you're doing.
Yeah. Or literally you can because the way that it's worded, it doesn't care about banishing cards with blood debt. It's just 6 or more. This can replay a CNC.
That is true.
This can replay a CNC.
You play That's
You could replay a swing big. And that's
true, yeah.
Technically one card, because this like draws you the swing big again. One card for resource, attack for 15.
I know
that's if you don't do anything else.
I know they don't use tunic a lot, but like if you had the tunic, you could like, or any way to generate a resource from your equipment, or right? That's like a single blue pitch card, and like if you get lucky, that's just blue pitch into this, banishing 3, and then playing one of them for, like Bill said, however much it was, 14 damage.
The other insane thing is with Savage Sash, that becomes 2 resources. That's off of a Beast Within.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh lordy lord! Yeah. Wow. Okay. I completely forgot about the card that's only available in the new starter product deck. Anyway,
hey, you can get it for the low price of $50 on TCG Player.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about that specifically, but talking about Shadow Realm horror, I think this card's crazy. I think it's nuts. I think that Levia was already pretty good, and I think that this card is disgusting. Personally,
2 for 7. I think it's part of. We'll talk about this when we talk about the new Armory deck that they revealed, but it really feels like they're like, hey, underpowered heroes, we're just gonna keep giving you stuff until you're not underpowered anymore. Here's more crap, like. Levia, you're pretty close, but you know what? Here's more stuff to make you even more powerful.
And like I feel like the regular use case is going to be that this is a 2 for 7 with Go Again. You'll likely whiff on 1. That's still insane. That card is still extremely good. But anyway,
I was just going to say, I mean, Levia is, she's very, very hungry for the cards in her graveyard. So again, you might not be able to get the 3 modes all the time, but you are going to get, as you were saying, at least 2 most of the time, which is still ridiculously good.
I think that's still very strong.
I mean, the floor on this card is just a 2 for 6 block 3, which is like still not bad. If you get like all 3 whiffs, still like not the worst. But like 2 for 7's like crazy. Like I don't think they've ever just printed a 2 for 7, right? Like the closest would be like E-Strike. It's like a 1. There's a few like 1 for 7s, right? But like
what I like about this as well is it gives you that sort of Scabbies vibe, because if you play this first, like as your first card, you're still sort of gambling with your graveyard as to whether you get the hits of 2, because obviously you need 2 to give it Go Again. So if you start your chain with this, you are kind of gambling, but obviously with it's like focused gambling, because you're looking for your graveyard. You're like, oh, I'm going to hit at least 2 here, surely, to give it 7 Go Again. So I do like that sort of fact, but in these Levia decks, it probably is going to be 2 most of the time, to be honest.
My only question is when is Arachne going to get cards of this power level? That's my only question. Brian Gottlieb, when Arachne, bro? All right.
It'll eventually happen.
I'm sure it will. It really feels like this is what they're doing. I have a feeling that next on the buff block are heroes like Arachne and Riptide. So I mean they're already giving Riptide a bunch of crap. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more we want to go into on this particular episode. I don't know how long we've been running for, but there's a load more cards here. But I wanted to also bring up another thing, because I saw something on Twitter recently. Which wasn't hugely negative, but it was an interesting take, saying, when is Ice coming back? Because a lot of decks now just feel like they can just pump the numbers out with no tax whatsoever. So do you think we need some form of tax again? Because a lot of these decks are being very greedy and very sort of, I can do more numbers than you. Maybe we need some control back.
It's kind of a weird spot, because I think when Ice was first introduced, the game was slow enough, barring like chain, that Ice was like fine. And like I remember thinking like tax effects are totally reasonable. I don't think that it's like too bad, but I think now they printed a bunch of cards into a bunch of metas with Ice in it. So it's like, okay, these are like a little bit more efficient. These can help you in the Ice matchups. And now that limiter is gone, it's like, oh, now there's just all these really strong cards, and there's like nothing to stop them. So yeah, I think as much as people hate ice, I think that it could exist in another I think it could come back and be fine, but it depends on how strong they make the ice cards, because then it's just sort of like they're matching a ceiling over and over again.
I remember them, maybe this is a fever dream, but I remember someone from LSS saying at some point that they want to take another look at ice. So I imagine if it comes back, it'll probably be a little different. And I personally would like to see different control options that aren't specifically Frostbite tokens. And I think that's one of the things that they mentioned. It's like when they revisit ice, it might not just be Frostbite tokens. I think Brian Gottlieb might have said something like that.
And there was a few mechanics in ice, like freezing your arsenal and doing like discard effects and stuff that maybe discard's not icy, but freezing your arsenal and doing other things like that seemed really, really unique. And things like, you could what was that card? Thor? Was it Thor? You could unfreeze a card.
Yeah.
That all that sort of design space was lost amongst the Frostbite. So there's cool little things they could potentially mess around with. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that comes back. But sorry, another random tangent. I just want to throw out there.
I mean,
no, it's all good.
Did we want to go over the other cards now? I mean, there's like 2 cycles of like equipment. I guess we can like touch on them quickly, unless we have a lot to say about them.
I don't think. I think there's maybe one card that is really worth talking about, and it's the chest piece in the there's 2 cycles. One of them is really cohesive. They're all sort of named about the same thing, and then there's one that's a little bit less cohesive. Anyway, let's do a lightning round. How about?
All right, let's do one of these is. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, one of these cycles is super easy, and that's the cohesive one that I was talking about. They're the Sky Keikois. So there's like the head is Sky Crest, then Sky Body, Sky Hold, and Sky Walker Keikoi. These are mystic equipment that are cloaked, which is a new keyword, which means that you equip them face down. So a little bit of mind games. You keep your equipment face down. You don't reveal them at the start of the game. So it could be if there's a bunch of things. Obviously, these 2 cycles that we're looking at right now do both have cloaked. So it's like, oh, are they playing the Skyhold or the Skybody Keikoi? Or are they playing Koi Blessed Kimono? Like, you don't know. But yeah,
so hopefully we see more cards like that in actual set.
I imagine we'll get some majestic versions and maybe some legendaries or whatever. I do want to note that they're all mystic, so you cannot be like Bravo with these. You have to be one of the mystic heroes. So,
you have to be one of the mystic heroes. This is going to be, I think, probably one of their like main design features is that they have secret equipment. The Keikois all have the same effect actually. And it's instant speed. Destroy this. Prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you this turn, but you can only activate it while it's face down.
What if you can turn them face up? Anyway, sorry, just a random.
There are probably going to be ways to flip them face up. There are the next cycle of them actually do flip themselves up with their abilities. But yeah, for the Keikois, they're just the standard like this is a way to prevent damage cycle. There's always one of these. It's basically like set mechanic cycle of equipment that prevents 1 damage in some way. Either it's block, either it's like quell or whatever.
Lost Mitre, that sort of
this
thing.
I think these are really good for what they are, because they can prevent any source of damage, not just like physical damage or whatever, and they don't cost anything like quell. Like this literally is free. So it's like a free prevent 1. It's like
prevents 1.
It feels like a better Iron Rod.
Yeah. It's just straight up prevent 1, instant speed, like no real frills or shenanigans. And so I think they're like totally fine.
Seem good for limited
definitely good for limited. Then we have the other cycle, which these ones, as I mentioned, they're all also cloaked, but they all turn themselves face up in one variety or in one way or another. We'll start off with Aqua Seeing Shell, which is the headpiece. So this is cloaked. It has 1 defense, but no defense keyword. It doesn't have Warn, doesn't have Temper, doesn't have Blade Break.
It's interesting.
The effect of it is instant for 3 resources. You turn this face up and draw a card, and then at the start of your turn, you destroy it. So theoretically, if your opponent is playing something like Pistol Dash or something that breaks the combat chain a bunch, it's could
insane,
block with this multiple times.
Yeah, it's actually kind of insane.
It's kind of an interesting just utility that they've provided this for some reason.
And like if you pitch a blue into this, like it costs 3 to do the flip up, but you draw a card so it replaces itself. So if you pitch a blue, you're basically not losing any cards, right? You just pitch a blue, draw a card, you replace it.
And what does this set want to be doing? You want to be pitching blues.
Pitching blues.
So, and the great thing is as well, because it's instant, obviously you play the effect after the start of your turn has gone. So you play the effect, draw a card, and you can still block of it on your opponent's turn before it destroys itself on your turn. But you can still do it on the opponent's turn as well if there's some benefit for instant speed, chi stuff.
Oh, you definitely, yeah. Like they declare their attack, and then you just like instant speed, flip this up, draw a card, block it. You know, this is good. This is a common, by the way. And I do want to mention the other cards are also common. So these are going to be like limited staples. You know, these are going to be like great limited cards.
Very, very good role players for limited. And yeah, speaking of another one, this has a really interesting sort of mechanic to it. Not necessarily a keyword, but I sort of alluded to it earlier. The Koi Blessed Kimono is the chest piece of this cycle. It also has cloaked. It doesn't have defense this time, but it does say, while this is equipped face down, at the start of your turn, if you have exactly 1 life, you may turn this face up.
Weird.
So very strange, very like narrow in my eyes, but the effect is actually quite good because when this is turned face up, you destroy it and search your deck for an inner chi, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So you just immediately tutor for an inner chi at the start of your turn if you're starting with 1 life. I do think that manipulating your life total to be exactly 1 might be difficult. Like you lose to an ancestral empowerment like
currently it's really hard, but maybe they print something to make it.
This is completely devoid of context. It's likely that there will be other ways to manipulate your life total to be a little bit fine. You have finer control over it. But I mean, the effect is good. It just searches for a blue that activates your hero's ability. That does like a lot of stuff. I think that's like pretty okay. I'm hesitant because we don't have additional context about how you get to 1 life and not just immediately die.
If you think about it in heavy hitters perspective, a lot of people were playing around down but not out for a similar sort of way. You were sort of have to have less tokens, life, and equipment than the opposing player. So maybe this is a similar thing where you get a load of value out of it if you try and sort of navigate that.
Being at 1 is a little bit more dangerous than just not having as many tokens.
And it sort of becomes obvious, especially like you on the turn where you're trying to put yourself to 1, you're like doing all of the like you're making sure that you're like, okay, I'm going to 1. It's like, okay, now I know what equipment you have. It's narrowed it down pretty significantly, but you know, hey ho. And then we have the gloves and the shoes actually are kind of similar. They're both attack reactions, which I think is cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
The gloves are cloaked. Again, they do have the 1 defense, so you can do the defense shenanigans like you could with the hat. And at the start of your turn, destroy this if it's face up. And then attack reaction for 1 resource, turn this face up. Target attack gets +1.
I think it's fine.
I mean, Breaking Scales is a card. Like, Breaking Scales is legitimately a card that exists and can help you out. This, very, very funny, can help you kill your opponent that's trying to get to 1 life. And it's secret, so they don't even know if they're playing around it.
What I really like about this is that it destroys at the start of your turn. So you activate this during your turn, get your extra damage or your on-hit effect or whatever. And then on your opponent's turn, it's just sitting around blocking for 1 all day, which is pretty cool. So I like it.
Yeah, kind of cool. And then the boots just have the same sort of stat line: 1 defense, cloaked at the start of your turn, destroy this. And then the attack reaction is 1 resource, turn this face up, target attack gets go again.
That's really good, dude.
Which is really good. All of the other, like, especially like, I mean, obviously it's not free like Snapdragon Scalers, but this is any attack. This doesn't have any requirements on it whatsoever. This can give a CNC go again. This can give like. That's cool.
I really like this in an assassin, man. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It feels like easier to get go again on this than like your Black Tech Whisperers. Like, yeah,
because it doesn't have to hit. This is just an attack reaction. So honestly, I think the boots are pretty good. it feels like they missed a giving it a requirement.
I love the no requirement. That's great. It's like unconditional. I
think it's good.
Yeah, it's like just these one cost attack reaction. Like as you say, you can give a C&C go again. What have you done to do that? You've pitched a blue. What happens when you pitch a blue? You can then play a card which transcends into a Mystic Chi, which allows you to activate your hero. It's just like a cascading effect. So yeah, I'm really liking the look of these. To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the art.
I'm sure there'll be more cloaked cards, which are going to be sick as well.
You got it. I mean, like. These are 2 cycles of commons. You got to know they're going to have like rares and then maybe majestics and then probably some legendary or something. Like, yeah, I would be very surprised if they didn't at least go rare majestic versions. Like maybe even the majestic ones are more specific, like Mystic Assassin, Mystic Ninja, or whatever. But yeah, I think these cards are great and the art is gorgeous. Specifically, I really love the kimono. It's got like these lotus flowers and very pretty.
Yeah, they're just killing it with the art in this set. I'm really impressed. But yeah. Anyway, that should probably wrap us up if we wanted to do a couple more discussions today. But yeah, I'll throw it back over to Az since he's the actual host. I just sort of took the reins temporarily.
No, it's all good.
You're definitely right. Yeah. So as we mentioned before, obviously, when you're seeing this, will be not all of us, but Kel will be traveling, so we're trying to line up a few episodes for everybody while that is still the case. So you won't go out without the Living Legends podcast while we're in this phase. So yeah, we are going to try and wrap this up now. So pretty sick cards, really like the look of them, and the more we read these Part of the Mistveil cards, the more interactions they have. And Kel saw something else brilliant.
No, the thing we didn't talk about is the Bolton deck.
Of course. Yeah. That happened as well.
We can just mention that, I guess, real quick. I don't have a ton to say on it. The whole recap with the KO deck thing is like I don't have a lot to say. And like I said, I've softened a little bit on it. And I do want to mention like 2 things. In the last episode, I detailed like 2 scenarios and both were kind of bad. One of them is where like the cards don't have any value and they're worthless and LGSs kind of get screwed. And the other scenario is where the cards are very valuable, like the unique cards in the deck are super valuable, but they become very, very very, very powerful, and they become very valuable because the product is limited. And that's the scenario that we are currently in. The decks are like $70-$80 on TCG Player, and the Sash is selling for $50. So that's not great, especially not for new players who need to get the product. But with that also said, I have seen some people like have some positive, like some people that I really, respect and like have like good interactions with the deck. Like Ian said he brought it and had a lot of fun with it. And so yeah, I've softened a little bit on it, but I mean, it's still too expensive, especially like $70. So my final thoughts on it is like I would like it to be more accessible and give more intrinsic value to a new player. So that's it. And that they announced the Bolton deck, and that's kind of what I hope for the Bolton deck. I hope it's more accessible, and I hope it gives more value to a new player, and more new people can pick it up and learn to play the game, because at the end of the day, I love Flesh and Blood and I just want more people to play the game. So I hope they can make it so that it's new player friendly. That's my thoughts. That's all I really have to say about it, and that's all I have to say about the Bolton deck as well. I hope it's good. I hope it's new player friendly and they're able to get it.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that pretty much does it for this week. Do you want to Arsenal step on these episodes, or are we just going to crack into the next one? What do you think?
I think we're probably good for this one, personally.
Yeah. We should be good. We should be good. Yeah. We'll have 3 weeks worth of Arsenal steps to go over in several episodes from now. So
fantastic. Cool. Well, short and sweet from us here at the Living Legends podcast. I've been Az from Go Again Gaming, your host for today. You can find me on YouTube, Go Again Gaming AZ. No, sorry, that's Twitter. Go Again Gaming on YouTube and Go Again Gaming AZ on Twitter. That's pretty much where I operate these days. I'll throw it over to Bill next.
Yeah, I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on Twitter at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders FAB.
Yeah, and I'm Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue, and we definitely spent an hour on that. Like I said, like don't look at the timestamp. Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Red Zone Rogue, and we'll catch you next week for an episode that's going to be a little bit of a different pace, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
See you, everybody.
Bye.